In this video, we're going to look at creating projectiles, how the player takes damage, and how to create two objects that maybe move together, and using the factory components in this video. So this is going to be an exciting tutorial. Can't wait to have it. Let's get it. And welcome back to Modstorm. Okay, we've done that. We've done that too many times. Leighton Mitchell at your service, as usual. We're gonna kick this thing off and go right into the tutorial. In our last video, we were able to make this little platform here, like a pressure sensor trigger, which will then make these walls move out the way when you step on them. As soon as you step off, they will go back into place. Wow, that sun is blinding today. That way. We make it so that you can take these little boxes and just push them onto it, and therefore being able to pass this part of the maze. So before we create the cannons and the logic to make them fire off projectiles and stuff, let's go ahead and create the crater here with the platforms that's gonna go across and go from there. Yep, that's gross. Know what time it is? It's cannon time. So I'll go ahead and look for a cannon. I hope they have one. There it is. And I'm gonna bring one out, put it right there. You know, it's not very visible. I'm gonna make it bigger, like purposely make it bigger. Let's just go ahead and do something like that. And then I'm just gonna rotate it around. See, this is about a 90-degree rotation. Right here, you saw this turn. Watch again. See, this rotates. This way would be 90, positive number, 81. See, we're going towards the very full rotation, which is about 90. If I go this way, it's just the negative, which is the opposite. So it'd be like negative 90. Okay, so keep that. If you're rotating something one way and you want to go the other way, for example, this full 90, boom. Now it's pointing towards the water, out that way. And I wanted to rotate it back the other way, then just do the negative value. Keep that in mind, kiddos. So now I'm pointing the direction I want to be pointed. I like that. Duplicate, and then make another one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring this one now over to this other side, and then I'm gonna head over there myself. You see how quickly I just hopped over to where it is? The action key F. Press the F key, and it quickly kind of like brings you to like find or focus on that object. So if I want to go somewhere real quick, boom, F, there I am. So I'm gonna go over to this one now and just simply rotate it to the other side, just like so. So I have these two cannons pointing, each of them pointing in that direction. And now I'm gonna have them kind of like just animate, go this way and this way while they fire and shoot. And it's gonna be chaos. And then you have to cross this little sliver of a bridge. I think that's gonna be pretty awesome. So let's get right into that. Hey, you guys remember how to make animations? We're gonna animate this to kind of just go up and down this little platform. It's reflected through the platform. Now that's not creepy at all. I've clicked on the cannon and I've brought the cannon all the way up here to where I wanted to start. It's gonna ping pong back and forth to the end of the screen over here. Now I noticed something. If I brought it all the way to the end of the screen over there, it's about minus 200. You see? About minus 200, it's right there. So I'm gonna have it go from minus 200 to minus 150, which is about right here. So that's a 50%, not 50%. So that's 50 difference, a negative 50 difference from the negative 150 to negative 200. Let's understand how animation works. We want this cannon to move from 150, current position, to the next position, which is 200. Therefore, we need the cannon to animate up to 50 to its current position, which means from 150 plus 50 would be 200. So you never really give it 200 as the animation, you give it what it needs to get to the next position. Let's take a look. So we're going to move down to the animation key down here. First thing, we're going to set the speed to 5. That's how fast it's going to go from one position to the next. And on the Z, I'm going to have it travel to negative 50 only because my cannon is at negative 150 and I want it to move to negative 200. In the mode, let's set that to ping pong. And just a quick recap, again, we're going to hit the speed at 5. That's how fast it's going to go to 200, negative 200 that is. And the distance to travel is a negative 50 from the negative 150. And we're going to go ahead and hit play and test to see how it moves. Let's go. So we're watching it here. And there it is. Animating down, and it should ping pong. There we go. Perfect. So now if we look at the cannons, you can see it's ping ponging, and I'll also go ahead and make the opposite cannon do the opposite direction. So when that's going up, this one's coming down, and so on and so on. Now it's time to make the projectile. We're gonna head back over here to our actors, and we have all these really cool stuff that I suggest you bring into your scene and check them out. They are pretty cool. The one that we're going to be looking at today is the factory. This factory is as it suggests. It will produce objects for you. So I'm going to put this factory right here in front of where the players spawn for now so I can work out the settings and get it working properly before bringing it over here and attaching it to the cannon. First thing, it's set to play on. And then down here is the total amount of objects we're going to spawn and then how many seconds in between. So the per second. So like we're going to spawn this much per this second. So right. So I'm going to turn this up to about 100 for testing purposes. And then I'm going to go ahead and click the plus button for objects. And by default, it's set to create. Now I did notice a bug. If I hit play here, we shouldn't see anything happen. Nothing happened for me, but if it's your first time doing it, it should work for you. So we click here on this drop down and choose projectile. And then you can give your projectiles a tag, so as they spawn in, they have their own tag. But in this case, it's okay. This should already set to be none. And what you're gonna do is hit create. So if this is your first time, you should see exactly like this. We're gonna hit create to create our projectile. First thing is the projectile name. I'm gonna call mine S ball for soccer ball. Oops. I'm gonna do all lowercase because my caps lock was on S ball, soccer ball. Now you can give those ball a tag here, and as you notice back in here, we can also give them a tag. So I don't think it you can use either one, I believe. And you know, the tag is important for if you want something in particular to happen when the player gets hit by this projectile. So this is the ray, and then like use gravity or the gravity so it doesn't dip, it doesn't dip, the velocity and the damage. Now if you change it, we can choose it to a sprite, which is also just like a you know, shooting out some sort of 2D image, and then you get different settings for that. There is primitive, which is also pretty cool. You can create right there, and then you see you get different settings for that. The one we're going to choose is movable again, and then we have these different settings: damage, launch, speed, so how fast it goes out, the effect when it, you know, what happens when it hits something, the effect and all that stuff. So we're going to choose up here first. We're going to go ahead and choose what object, Alright, so we click on the empty block right here, the empty image area. And I'm going to go in here and choose the soccer ball. I'm telling it to spawn a soccer ball. The size, I don't want it to be too big, so I'm going to say about half the size because they spawn in a little bit too big that I noticed. I'll put 0.5, so that half the size of that one. The damage, like how much damage it does to the player, I'll leave that at 10. The force, you know, when it comes out, maybe a 1.5. 1.5. Oh, no, not 11.5. 1.5 for that. I told you just do a, you know, blast instead of, you know, blast with like a force, sure. So when it explodes, it actually has a like a force to it, a radius. Then I have the force be 5 as well, sure. There's an explosion effect, which is you're gonna see some particles by default because we're not gonna set one right now. And then what sound it makes when it's coming out. So we can just test these. This is a kickball. I like this. I'm gonna go ahead and use that kickball. And then the sound of volume. So the rest of this is options that we're not going to be using right now. As for the projectile, I think it's pretty good. So you can see that the factory here is set and pointing with the little arrow there, pointing in that direction. All you got to do to fix this is rotation, right? So you click on the factory, you get the rotation. I'm gonna set this to -90. So now it's pointing in that direction. And I'm gonna hit play and see what happens. You can see soccer ball or just spawning and going in that direction from where the factory is. And if I get hit, you see it does knock me away. It also gives me damage. If I get hit enough times, it will kill me. I need another hit. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Kills me. Then I respawn back. Okay. Now, guys, it's time to make this move with the cannon. Don't get ahead of me because there is one little issue here that I know will happen, but we haven't got to it yet. And now we're about to get to it. When it comes time to move this cannon or move this factory into the spot where it needs to be, you can see here, if we drag it right over here, we have no problem with this being right here. There's no problem. But look what happens if I bring it over to this platform over here. So I'm just gonna drag it right over here, and boom, it scales all crazy. Something just went terribly wrong with this factory. Look at it. I want to let you know why this happened. When I drag it over there, it gets all kinds of crazy. I'm going to just undo back to the normal size using Control Z, Control and Z, Control Z to undo. When I drag it over here, it gets all crazy, and that's because this itself is actually stretched out, so it was matching the same kind of like size for this. So I'm just gonna move this back this way. You can see it's stretched out. It's a bit distorted a little bit. It's not like these that are meant to expand. This is really just a kind of like a floor model, and it's not really meant to be as stretched out as this. So we're gonna replace these. To parent something to another object is pretty easy to do. What I like to do first is just put it in the position where it needs to be. Go ahead and select this tool that allows you to drag, which you can use the Q key to switch to it really fast. Nice little shortcut key. And then what you're gonna do with this, select it, drag that little triangle, and as you come over here, you can see how it's kind of like locking on to this object. That's how you know it's parent, and I'm just gonna put it at the mouth of it, like so. I think that's good. Yep, it moves with it. So that should work. Let's see if it does. As you can see there, pretty nicely done. I'm gonna go ahead and tweak some settings to make it so that it doesn't drop into the water. It just kind of goes all the way across. It's alive! Now guys, hopefully this showed you and inspire you to make all kinds of crazy stuff out there in Modstorm. With this tutorial, you saw how to, a little bit of terrain editing, creating and dragging and scaling objects, and then just how to create projectiles and cannons that shoot things, okay? These balls will do damage, and I believe about 10 damage each. You saw the settings where you can change that, and also after a certain amount of damage, the system already has a built-in health system that will make your player die after a certain amount of damage. So if you wanted something special to happen when the player gets hit by one of these balls, don't forget that you can create a tag and then use your knowledge of actions to create a certain action when a certain thing with a certain tag hit the player. Now you can also tag the cannons so that you don't have to have them playing by default. You can have them turn on when the player reaches this level. So keep that in mind. I will do that as well. I will have it so that this only turns on when the player has reached this level. As you know, after the wall goes up, then the player walks out here. I can make a little trigger right here that when he steps on it, boom, these cannons are now on. So that's it for today. I appreciate your time. You keep modding, and I'll see you in the next one.